أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلوات وأتم التسليم على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And continuing on with our topic of Islamic contemporary theology and the challenges of today's society, I'd like to talk about an important topic which is also probably considered to be one of the more classical theological discussions, but also related to how we are able to look into the realm of religion and our involvement with religion as well. And also how we are able to view God in the qualities that He has. If I was to ask, why is there a difference between the different ideological groups in Islam, for example? Or if I was to ask, what is the difference between the two different schools of thought in Islam? What's the difference between the Shia school of thought and the Sunni school of thought? And within the Sunni school of thought, are there different theological schools? We know that there are two main theological schools in the Sunni world, the Ash'ari and the Ash'ariyya and the Mu'tazila. Whereas in the Shia school of thought, there are different theological trends. The Alawis, the Zaydis, the Ismailis, the Waqifis, and the Ithna Asharis, or the Twelvers. Now, that being said, what is the major difference between each one of them? We know that one of the differences between the one of the main differences between the Mu'tazila and the Ash'ara is the concept of adl, of God being just or not. And for example, the Mu'tazila and the Imamiyya are called Al-Adliyya, or those who adhere to believing that God is just, whereas the Ash'ara do not believe so. They do not believe that one of the attributes of God is being just. Now, why is it that they say that God doesn't have to have the attributes of justness or for Him to be adil? It's because they say that God can do as He wishes. He doesn't need to be dictated as to how He needs to deal with certain situations. If He wants to do this, then He'll do it. If He wants to do that, then He'll do it. So He doesn't need to be fair about it because He is God. He acts with His knowledge and His understanding of things. Now, this is where the Mu'tazila and also the Shia believe that things in themselves inherently are either good or bad. Actions in themselves are either good or bad. You don't need God to say to you that they are good or they are bad. An example for this is lying. Do you need a verse in the Quran to tell you that lying is bad? Or are you able, as a human being, within the rational capacity that you have, within your natural instincts that you have, are you able to say that, well, in my understanding, as a human being, inherently, something like lying is bad? Here, of course, there are two views, two different opinions. In the classical Islamic theology, this topic is called Al-Husn wal-Qubh, the good and the bad. And in this Al-Husn wal-Qubh, or the good and the bad, the two views are Al-Husn wal-Qubh is either aqli, the good and the bad is either rational, it's either reason-based, or Al-Husn wal-Qubh is shar'i, it is religion-based, which means that it was legislated that lying is bad, and therefore lying is bad, irrespective of whether you think rationally lying is good or not. And this is of course also related to that whole concept of, is God in His attributes just or not? That's why one of the things that is also an extension of this whole discussion is it necessary for God to send prophets? Does He need to send delegates on His behalf to represent Him on this earth, to guide mankind? Or, no, it's not necessary. Here, for example, those who do not believe in God's justice and believe that husn wa qubh is shar'i and not aqli, that the good and the bad is religious and not rational, they would say, no, it's not necessary, it's not wajib for God to send. Why? God can send if He wants to. God doesn't have to send if He doesn't want to, because God is God. Now, of course, this is going to bring about a lot of issues, especially due to the fact that we understand that as human beings, in our normal, simple interaction with other people, the one thing that we share as a commonality with everyone else is reason, is our intellect. And through our intellect, God has given us such a blessed opportunity to be able to distinguish between what is good and what is bad. As a whole, in general, a universal concept. Now, entering into the applications and into the details and things like that, that's another area altogether. But when I see that, for example, taking something that does not belong to me, taking something that does not belong to me is a kind of theft. I don't need a verse in the Holy Quran to tell me that. Why? Because naturally a person likes to keep their property. They like to keep what belongs to them. I keep on using this blue example as actor with me. I feel that this property of mine is within my ownership and I have a right to it. So if someone else was to take it, then of course that wouldn't make me happy in any way, and I would say that this person is wronging me. They are doing dhulm, oppression, and this is natural within the human being. So in this kind of argument, when we are speaking about husn wa qubh and whether it is reason-based or whether it is religious-based, we're able to solve many issues as well, especially due to the fact that we are able to understand a more comprehensive realization of the qualities of God. In the English world or in the Western world, this topic of al-husn wal-qubh, and it's a very interesting topic, by the way. Please, I'd like all of the participants to look into this topic as much as you can. In this, the Islamic world, it's called al-husn wal-qubh al-aqli / shar'i. Is it aqli? Is it shar'i? What is it? What do the Imamis view? Of course, they view that it is aqli. What do the Mu'tazila view? In general, that it's aqli, and the Asha'ira, they view it as shar'i, as religious. In the English Western world, it is called the divine command theory. And this basically means that this good, is it because God commanded it to be good, or it's good and then God commanded it. And of course this is two different things. One is it's good and God commanded it therefore to be, for example, observed or followed or considered good, or God made it good or commanded it to be good, and therefore we acknowledge it to be something good, even though maybe in reality it might be bad or it might be good. And of course this is where the moral value of criteria of good and bad is something very important for us, because if we were to say that everything is through the religion, that means the moral understanding or the moral value or the criteria of good and bad is God's will and God's law. And something can be considered good, something can of course be considered as being good or bad only because it is God that has stated so and it exists in the divine law. If I was to accept this, then I would to say, then what does truthfulness mean? Does truthfulness mean something that corresponds to the reality of what it is, or does truthfulness mean it is truthful because it is something that God had ordered to be recognized as truthful, even if it does not correspond to the reality? As for killing, another example, is killing considered to be bad because God was the one that commanded it, or is killing considered to be bad and it becomes good if God was to command it, whether it be of an innocent person? So God's commanding of something good, and it being good is of course going back to return to us. Now what is the issue with this? If we were to say that God acts as He wishes without any kind of scale of goodness or badness in our human understanding, beyond just the issue of religion, then of course the answer is going to be that, well, therefore God is able to punish a righteous person because He doesn't need to be fair or just, and God is able to reward a sinful person because He is able to do what He wants. God doesn't need to send prophets, or He wants to send prophets. That's completely up to Him. Now, if we were to say this, just the general normal people around you are able to distinguish between what is good and what is bad. If we were to say that I am not on my own, independently, I'm not able to distinguish between what is good and what is bad, then that's going to bring about a lot of problems and issues, especially due to the fact that in my realization, I won't be able to further develop a holistic understanding of the qualities of God. If we believe that the divine command theory is something correct and view, it means that akhlaq itself or morality itself becomes religion. Whereas the correct understanding is akhlaq or morality is only a part of what religion encompasses, because religion is greater and further than that. Anyway, in the issue of what the Ash'aris believe and what the Mu'tazila believe and what the Imamis believe in the concept of husn wa qubh aqli, and the good and the bad being either rational or shari'i, there's a lot of important issues that arise from this. Hopefully with your researching and with your further reading, you will be able to understand that. Inshallah, until our next episode, keep us in your dua. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi tahirin.